Hello everyone, welcome back to Bat Chat. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Steve Baxi.
And today Steve and I are doing an extra long episode because we're going to talk about the two-part Volume 2 Batman Animated Series episode, Heart of Steel. And this is notoriously one of Steve's least favorite episodes.
Yep, I really don't like it. Partly because it thinks it's Blade Runner and it's not.
Steve is so stoked to talk. Just look at him. He just can't wait. He's like, yeah! Heart of Steel, woo! So, anyway, I don't want to talk too much about it before we get started into it, Steve, because we've got, like, 45 minutes to kill.
Yeah.
And, there's, it's not the densest thing, so,
No, it's not.
So we'll go ahead and get into it. As always, we're going to watch the episode, and again, it's in two parts. So we'll watch the first one, and then we'll give you a prompt to start each one separately, but we'll do it all in this one video. And we're going to watch the episodes and talk about them as we're watching, so if you want to watch them with us, pull out your DVDs or go to Amazon Prime, however you want to do it. Get it to the first part of Heart of Steel. It's on the second volume, and make sure to get it past all the menus and everything to timestamp 0. And we'll just go ahead and jump right into it right now. Steve, are you ready, sir?
I'm all set.
All right, everybody, please press play right now. So, Steve, the first thing I want to say about this is it's just padded, yeah?
Yeah. It doesn't need to be a two-parter.
Did this need to be a two-parter? I mean, you look at the sequel to this when you get Hardak again later on.
Yeah, his Silicone Soul.
And you look at how that's a singular episode, and I don't feel like there's really any more or less story in that than there is in this.
Oh yeah, there's definitely not. It's a one-episode thing. Again, the Batman did an episode just like this with a machine called Rumor. It's only one episode. It's 100 times more complicated than this. It doesn't take
really?
2 parts to talk about this.
I mean, I've seen that, but it's not. I don't remember it right off the top of my head. Rumor? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, the idea is there's this robot created by Hugo Strange to be the perfect Batman. At least I think it's Hugo Strange.
I don't remember that at all, and I've seen all of Batman Beyond. Why is that?
Not Batman Beyond. The Batman.
Oh, I thought you said Batman Beyond.
Oh no, not Batman Beyond. The Batman. I must have said my mistake.
Oh, okay, all right. Because I've not seen that. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's Hugo Strange that does it, but I don't remember.
Why does Hardak look like a train?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Hardak looks like the front of a train engine.
He looks really what's that movie? Metropolis-y, doesn't he?
He's very Metropolis, and also, and obviously in his voice and the way he talks to people, he's very 2001 inspired. Every time he starts talking, I keep waiting for him to say, "What are you doing, Dave?"
Yeah. And then there's the Transformers reference with Cybertron. Like, it feels like this one's just pulling a whole bunch of sci-fi tradition and not really, like, talking about any of those themes, really. It's just like an arbitrary sci-fi episode.
That becomes a little generic, yeah. Which is unfortunate, because I like some things about it. I mean, Hardak is, I think, sufficiently creepy. I like I like some of the things that you don't know are robotic, but then turn out to be, although some of that ends up being pretty callable, and also really inconsistent in how the different robots act, and we'll get to that because it's weird. I don't understand the Gordon bot even a little bit, but we'll get there. But I like the briefcase. That in fact, I was immediately this time around watching this reminded of Transformers right away with this briefcase that transforms and then and slinks away, and I don't know, that's creepy and fun looking, and then later on you get Cybertron. And I wondered if that was a reference or not, but it's got to be, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
Now, you can't tell me these people making this show don't know what Transformers is, especially because this would have only been a few years after that show.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I mean, this was 93.
Hello?
Are you there?
Oh, there we go. Okay, it was froze up there for a second.
Oh, no!
Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering.
Yes, I think we're fine. I don't think that briefcase needs to duck down that low.
No, it doesn't. It's kind of weird. It's a cool sequence, I guess. Like, it's a fun way to open this episode with a robotic briefcase, because not something you would have necessarily seen in this show before. I just wish it went somewhere. I wish it did something interesting. Because they even went as far as to hire an actor from Blade Runner for this episode.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. What's his name? Carl Rosum, the guy behind all this. He's played by William Sanderson.
Okay.
He
sounded really familiar to me.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, because it's been a little while, I think he's the guy that tells us where the creator of all the replicants are. I think. I don't know. It's been a little while.
Okay.
But like, he's pivotal to that whole metaphor about existence, and he's in this episode and doesn't do anything.
But you're right, and we're not really playing with those themes that much. Again, it's one of those episodes that kind of just establishes them but doesn't do anything with them, which I think would be a little bit easier. I think it would be easier to forgive at that if it wasn't 2 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if it was just a 22-minute sci-fi stylized episode, I'd be cool with it. It would be like the Ego Strange episode. It would just be fun.
I think it's hilarious. Yeah, but it's acting grander than that.
Yeah, but again, I guess part of that just comes from the 2-parter thing. If it didn't have that, if it was just the 1 episode and it was just goofy sci-fi, it'd be all right.
Yeah, I mean, even with the, sentient robot stuff and not really getting into whether or not they have a soul or, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Batman is drawn really oddly in that bit. I mean, I kind of like it, as a poster. But we do that sometimes in the show where you'll do a close up and it looks like a lot more shaded and almost painted, and then and it kind of just stands there. Maybe it'll blink or move slightly, but it's pretty much just a still. And like it cuts between 2 things. One of them is just a still shot, and you're like, okay, he's not moving because that's not animated, and then you back off, and he looks like he always does.
I mean, it goes back to our mundane Batman idea from the previous episode, where he's just standing there the whole elevator ride, waiting for someone to open the door. What does Batman do in an elevator?
This is a dull video game, Steve. We just stand here and wait for the elevator to go up. I don't know.
Like, this whole thing here with the briefcase and the rocket and stuff, it's really all kind of Fleischer, but it thinks it's smarter than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine right now.
Yeah.
I mean, like, before you get to the actual story and you're just watching it is another one of those things where if it was a 20-minute episode that was pretty much just a silent thing, this is Batman chasing robots, okay.
Yeah,
I'll watch that. That sounds good. And you're right, it is very Fleischer. The soundtrack is always brilliant. But again, Shirley Walker's adding this grandioseness to this episode that it just isn't really earning by the end.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a consistent thing with this show where it's produced so well that even bad episodes get like amazing soundtracks or cool title cards and stuff. They don't necessarily deserve them.
I mean, it's got this creepy, spindly briefcase that's going down a hallway, and Shirley Walker is making it sound like the world is ending.
Yeah.
I wanted this action figure so bad when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah, me too.
The Batman with the glider. That was one I never got, and it's awesome.
Oh, yeah, it looks fantastic. That's why I was so excited later when I got that Batman Beyond figure and it had the wings pop out, because it almost looked like the glider.
I have one of those. But yeah, that's pretty cool. But see, we see how that glider could be really impractical as soon as you start shooting at it.
Oh, yeah, of course. There's no maneuverability, really.
But what's cool is it's kind of believable. I mean, I've seen bat glider things where I'm like, I don't know if you'd really be able to maneuver or get any kind of momentum, and like that one I kind of buy because it's just a hang glider.
Yeah, that's true. Although I feel like he should be getting pushed back a little bit more by the wind and the bullets. But oh well, it's a cartoon. It's all right.
Oh no, that's true. I mean, you're right. There's some physics stuff in the scene, but I just mean his just being able to glide on it and doing what he's doing. Like I kind of buy it.
Yeah, and again, it looks good. It's fun enough right now.
Yeah.
And I kind of like this whole scene with Batman coming out of the water. I think it looks really nice.
I like Alfred's like call back to this later where first he says that Batman needs to not be so rough with his toys, and then later he says your toys are being too rough with you, and I think that's funny. But again, it's kind of weird because that's at the beginning of the second part, and it just feels like, I mean, yes, it's one episode, and that's fine, and it should feel like that, but it also feels weird that we had to elongate it.
Yeah. It's definitely not one of those episodes that warrants it. I mean, we've talked about a couple here and there that could have gotten away with 2 parts, and this is just one of them.
And then of course episodes where you had to have both. I mean, like
Two-Face.
The Two-Face episode, and you want to come up with a reason for that to be in 2 parts because it's Two-Face, and it's just cool that the Two-Face episode is in 2 parts.
Yeah, and the Robin episode too.
It's interesting how some of these are so much of a product of their time. We have to spend this long talking about what artificial intelligence is the implications of what the future of humanity would be if you had a robot that could think for itself and had free will and all that stuff. It reminds me of. It's like any time. Oh, there's Cybertron. Like any time. Cybertron in this, by the way, is not a planet. It's a. It's a company. But I think it's but it reminds me of how you look at time travel stories that were made in around this time or before, and then time travel stories now, and nobody in a time travel story now is surprised that they're in a time travel story. Like somebody goes back in time or something happens, it doesn't take them any amount of time whatsoever to cope with the fact that they might be surprised, there might be a little bit of awe, but mostly it's, oh, okay, I mean, it's crazy, that's real, but we've all seen a million time travel movies, and I'm reminded of that because we do the same thing with artificial intelligence now.
Yeah.
That we've just done it so much now, and so it's interesting going back and thinking, oh yeah, somebody might actually watch this that doesn't know what that is. And yes, it's a kids thing, and so you do that for the kids too, but...
Yeah, and I mean, I would almost argue that it's a little bit even more too condescending than it has to be, because at this point we've already had Terminator. We've already... this is not like...
Oh, and this references Terminator real hard, too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had Terminator, we had RoboCop, we've already gone through all those Star Wars movies. We've had artificial intelligence be a really hard and scary thing in the 80s already. So this episode doesn't have...
Also, 1993, Steve?
Yeah.
Star Trek The Next Generation is your #1 show on television.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be as condescending about it as it is. Like, we kind of get what AI is.
The what makes a man thing is what TNG is all about with Data all over the place. I mean, I'd argue that a lot of your kids watching this are watching Star Trek with their parents in the evening.
Yeah, of course.
That's a really good point.
Sorry, go ahead.
We should talk about Barbara Gordon, because I want to say this is her first appearance.
Yeah,
or is
so.
it?
Yeah, production-wise.
They sure play it like it is. And one thing I have to really give this episode credit for is I like what's done with her all the way through this.
Yeah, I like her. She's fun, and I like that we slowly build to her being Batgirl down the line.
It's cool. It feels gradual. It feels natural. I like the bits of just personal detail stuff and believable moments between father and daughter that you got a second ago with the teddy bear and stuff, and Jim getting embarrassed about that, and how he has so much sentimentality for his daughter, and he tries to look tough at work, and but all that. I like that stuff a lot, and that's also really, really good because you humanize Jim Gordon in that moment, and then later on he's a robot, and she picks up on it real fast because we've seen the sort of relationship they have together, and it doesn't feel too ultra typical. I mean, it's not. It doesn't feel generic. That's the least generic thing in this episode, which is somewhat ironic, really.
Yeah, the human stuff is done really well, and I mean, even comparing it to better episodes like Robin's Reckoning, like Bruce and Dick's relationship versus Barbara and Jim Gordon's, I feel like both that stuff's handled really well and really consistently throughout the show, and You kind of get that they had a different idea for her in this episode than what they do down the line, because eventually Barbara Gordon becomes Bruce Wayne's girlfriend, and that just doesn't work.
No, it
doesn't. It's
doesn't.
really creepy, especially the Batman Beyond comics.
I thought of that too. I need to read those. I thought of that too when they're first introduced to each other in this, where I'm like, I'm weirded out thinking about the future.
And I mean, like, he treats her like a kid. Like, he holds up her by the chin and everything. Like, he treats her like a toddler.
I guess it's like Padme and Anakin.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
That's right. We just made a correlation between Bruce Wayne and Padme Amidala.
That's where our mind's going right now.
And Anakin Skywalker is Barbara Gordon.
Although substantially more likable.
She's gonna grow up and become this really tragic, dark figure where Batgirl goes evil.
Yeah, she kills all these young Robin younglings, and then her murder weapon is given to her child, who then saves the day. So
what I like, I mean, it is just a train. Yeah. What I like about the design of that thing is, again, it looks super flashy, right? I mean, like it looks something that comes right out of the 40s.
Yeah, and I mean, I like that the idea is so literal. Like the whole thing is technology moves too fast, and so what does technology manifest as? One of the fastest forms of travel, a train.
But I don't know that that's on purpose.
No, it's
I think
not
it just looks like a train. Don't do that.
No, it's not on purpose. It's kind of dumb in the episode, but I think that's an interesting choice they could have ran with.
Well, yeah, but they would have to actually literally run with it. Is it have the train get on some tracks and go somewhere?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm not saying he's doing it well, but I think visually there could have been something there.
So this is one of those things where we're characterizing, that's maybe not the right word in this instance, but we're characterizing this Gordon bot in order to build tension and as this like really cold, heartless, emotionless machine that is incapable of even pretending to have affection for Barbara Gordon, to create suspense and put her in a chilling, scary situation. The problem is, later on we'll see that every other robot that replaces a person is better at acting like that person.
Yeah, the most crucial robot, they put it in the worst possible place.
Yeah, like this robot is just really bad at its job.
Yeah. I mean, and they're so obvious about it, too. Like, the way he's walking and being animated and everything. Like, it's just, it's a really lazy job.
Forgive me if I make too many Tick references on this show, but it reminds me of the Tick versus the Uncommon Cold with the Arthur clone that has obviously a creepy green face and walks around and is only capable of saying, "I, Arthur." And it's making fun of stuff like this, where somebody can't immediately pick up on the fact that somebody's been replaced and doesn't act anything like their real self, and it's really goofy in this because they're not making any kind of fun parody statement. They're just doing that, and I mean, like, she's picking up on it quickly enough, I suppose, that that's not really her dad, but it's just weird because the other robots, again, are better at pretending to be who they're pretending to be.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Buffy episode from season 6. What was it called? Not season 6, season 5. Because it's right before the body. It was I was Made to Love You is what it's called. Where you get that robot that Warren makes, and everyone knows it's a robot as soon as they see it. It's really obvious, and they don't play it up as anything other than it's a robot. And then they even get mad later when they use the Buffy bot, and some people aren't able to tell the difference. There's an entire joke about how can you not tell that this is a person and this is a robot.
Yeah, because it's not even a matter of it's acting out of character. It's acting in a way that no human being would be capable of acting like unless they were trying to pretend like they were a robot.
Exactly. And again, it's dumb because they get the Blade Runner actor, and the whole point of that movie is that robots get far enough to do that. And this movie, this episode isn't doing it.
Oh my god, I love it when you cut to a scene and you're in the middle of a joke. Because that's always really funny. And you know, and it turns into a jacuzzi! Hey Steve, ask me what I think of this episode.
What do you think of this episode?
It's fine.
So this girl looks a lot like Marilyn Monroe, or is that just me? Like she looks exactly like her.
She does, yeah.
I don't know if that's on purpose.
What you're making?
I don't know if that's on purpose, but that's all I could think of every time I see her.
And like, I'm just wondering, like, the first time you saw this, you might have seen this as a kid, but I mean, like, was there ever a moment where you weren't automatically sure that was a robot? I'm just saying, like, that's a robot.
Yeah, I mean, it was obvious to me forever ago. I didn't like this episode as a kid either, because I just thought it was too dull.
I mean, like a lot of these shows, I liked the atmosphere of it, and I liked that it was Batman tackling, classic science fiction concept. But once you really sink your teeth into, it's not real meaty.
Yeah.
But I do like that they don't try to stave off this reveal till the next episode.
Yeah, that's good. They rush some things and not others, which is okay. But it still goes back to, like, it's a poorly structured two-parter.
Why does she need a tool to shock people? If she's a robot, why does she just have something in her hand that, like, can transform and zap people? and you could say, oh, well, you're just projecting what you see with other robots. Yeah, well, you saw a briefcase turn into a thing with, like, stuff shooting out of it, so why don't the people do that?
And that giant, or that tiny makeup bot thing, too. Like, if you can build a robot that tiny, you don't need the other one to have a tool.
Yeah, why does she have to wear 3D glasses in order to see through the walls? Why can't she just like turn on a thing in her head and have that?
Which are
I don't understand.
The goofiest glasses ever.
Oh no, we should get those, Steve.
I kind of want them because they look so stupid. Like it would be an ironic hipster thing to do.
Yes, we should totally do that. Boy, she sure found the Batcave real quick.
Yeah. Although I guess if you could see maybe.
No, that's fine, but why doesn't Batman have any security? Like, I mean, like Val Kilmer's Batman had more security than this.
There's not even a password or anything to get.
You don't get like a security alert. She doesn't have any problem getting into the computer. Like Batman's like, all he has is a clock. That's it.
He's got a clock and a bookcase. That's his security. Although I guess he's just assuming that if you go to Wayne Manor, you're probably not going to read or look at the time.
I mean, I guess. Yeah, when you go to Wayne Manor, you just have a bunch of like innocuous, dull, mundane conversations. Like I don't think I've ever been in this room before, or and then it turned into a jacuzzi.
I mean, it could be like Gotham, where you never went to this room before because we only live in one room. Because
it's a mansion with one room and then a tiny, tiny Batcave. No, yes. Once again, another thing that we could have really been playing with. Oh, and then Batman gets picked up and he gets taken into the bowling alley.
Yeah.
And he gets he gets bowling balls thrown at him. No, one thing we really could have played with this episode, Steve, is Batman's reliance on technology.
Yes.
Why are we not doing something with that a little bit? And I guess you could say that inherently that's there a little bit because it's so easy for this robot to break into his Batcave and take over, and now he's at the mercy of his machines.
But Batman doesn't learn anything about that by the end. Like, he doesn't change his way of doing things because he deals with Hardak.
Yeah, and it would have been really interesting if he'd done that, and it would have been as simple as, Batman, like, wow, this might have been goofy. I was gonna say it could be as simple as, Batman, like, not taking the Batmobile out one night and just going with his hang glider. I mean, it could be that simple. I do think it's interesting that, this is the episode where he's got a hang glider, and that's like the most primitive technology he's using.
Yeah, yeah. Even his cape is more advanced than that hang glider.
Alright, folks, now we're gonna watch part 2 of Heart of Steel. What is it with heart of things in Batman, Steve? Heart of ice? Heart of hush?
Heart of hush?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of strange.
What is that about? Yeah. Is it because Batman looks all stoic and like he doesn't have a heart? Like he's...
Or he pretends he doesn't have a heart, so they come out in all the villains.
They actually do, yeah, and then all the, yeah. But then you have villains like Mr. Freeze that are supposed to be heartless, but then
clearly.
But then the whole idea is that yeah, exactly. All right, well anyway, here we go, everybody. Make sure you're watching Heart of Steel Part 2 and not the first one again, because you know, I mean, you could watch the first one with our commentary, and that might be amusing, but we'll catch you up to speed. Well, anyway, all right, Heart of Steel Part 2, and everybody please press play right now.
It would be kind of fun to have a Heart of Hush adaptation, though, now that you mention it.
It would be fun to have a Heart of Hush adaptation in this style.
Yes.
I think it would work here as well as anywhere.
Yeah, because, I mean, that book is so much animated series Batman. Because it's done by Paul Dini.
That's why I said that. I think you could have given Hush a whole video game pretty easily.
Yeah, he's wasted in the Arkham games.
Oh, yes, he is. He's just there because people have heard of him. That's it.
His mission in Arkham Knight is all of 5 minutes long.
Oh, really? I haven't done that yet. But I did think... Oh, wait, no, I have done that. Well, when you said that, I thought it was part of the main story, but now that you're saying that, no, it probably is a side thing. Yeah. Are you talking about, like, where you go up into Wayne Tower, yes. and they've got that game has weird POV shifts where, like, you think you're Bruce Wayne, but you're not. It turns out you're actually Hush. Yeah. And so I'm walking around a room thinking I'm Bruce Wayne, and it turns out I'm actually Hush. And so I'm afraid he's going to jump out at me, but I'm actually him right now. And, oh, that is so weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And it could have been so much more interesting if Hush had a character in this franchise.
Yeah, but you could do a whole game where you know, he's... you could basically just adapt Hush and try to make it, you know, make the story a little bit more coherent, right? And,
oh yeah, totally.
Have all those villains involved. It would give you a reason to have all the villains involved, and the side missions. Like, you could do side missions that are actually part of the A story. That would be really cool if you didn't have to shoehorn it all in. If it turned out that all the side stuff was actually part of the real plot all along. I mean, you have to make it overly convoluted. I mean, you have to make it, you know, pretty elaborate. But
I mean, you can square it all the way if you get rid of the Riddler reveal at the end.
I would love to play a game like that, where you're doing side missions, and then it turns out that the side missions are all integrated, you need them, and...
Oh, yeah. You could do that in Nightfall the exact same way, where it's nothing but side missions that all culminate in Bane.
Yes! Anyway, so this, well, we're wasting time because we're just watching a bunch of stuff that we've seen already.
Yeah, I mean, this is just the recap.
When I watched this on Amazon, it skipped past this stuff for me.
Wait, did it really?
Yeah, it was like, maybe I'm thinking of something. I forget. I watched something recently where I watched a two-parter or something, and it was like it skipped past the previously on stuff and just like the dot on the timeline begins where the episode actually starts. I was like, oh, that was nice of you. Thanks for that.
That's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Isn't that weird?
I mean, I guess that just speaks to the whole binge-watching trend where we don't need intros or previously ons for TV anymore.
Yeah, and make sure that whatever you do right before commercial and right after fit together because you don't have 2 minutes to forget anymore. When this robot arm thing comes down and first of all, I think it's funny that the Batcave is a claw machine. That's the first thing.
Yes.
And secondly, it's a really good claw machine though. Those are not loose, man. They'll pick up anything. They'll pick up quarters off the floor. But he just has to have this thing for this scenario, right?
Yeah. And they try to make it really 2001 when you skip to the Bat computer and it's just got the one red light.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's trying really hard to be Hal, and it's not as interesting as Hal.
This is just one big homage, really, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's all it is. And that'd be fine, again, if it was just one part.
Yeah, I guess we keep harping on that, but that's kind of that's our main point, is this is a good episode or a better episode if it's in one part. I do think it's fun that the grappler claws shake their each other's hands.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I do like that.
It's like one person shaking his hand.
Yeah. And it's a cool way to open up an episode with Batman trapped by a claw machine. It's basically evil Toy Story.
Yeah. Yeah, although, you know, Toy Story was also kind of evil Toy Story.
Oh, that's true. Oh, yeah. I guess it depends on whether or not you were the aliens.
Oh, okay. That's a good, yeah.
Because they worship the claw.
Be careful, Batman. You don't want to have a heart attack. Look out!
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Thanks. So if if Gordon's able to say more than 2 words to people on the phone, why can't he say more than 2 words to his daughter?
It's a really good question. I mean, you would think that his daughter would be the most important person to fool.
Yeah, and that's why, and I think part of the reason that we're not digging real hard on this episode is because a lot of the character stuff feels really contrived in order to, again, pad the story out and get us to where it wants to go. So it feels really plot driven. It feels like characters have to do things in order to get us to a point. But then that's weird too, because it's not like people are acting out of character. It's just the robots, really. I mean, like, Barbara Gordon is a real believable character. The way she reacts to things is good. She's proactive. I like how much of a go get it done kind of person she is.
Yeah, she's great.
So we're not, so I mean, like, so that's kind of weird, isn't it? Because usually when I talk about things that are plot-driven or character-driven, I'm talking about, like, making characters having to do things that they wouldn't ordinarily or not act like real people in order to move the plot along. But more of it, it's just making a plot, a villain plot that doesn't make much sense in order to get us to the ending.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said before, it's basically just an excuse to get a whole bunch of cool action scenes in. And Barbara Gordon's definitely the best part of it, but it tries to throw in all these stranger, deeper messages that don't go anywhere. Like here, a second ago, the doctor is like, I gave you too much free will. And that doesn't actually end up meaning anything or amounting to anything. That theme just doesn't make any sense with the rest of the episode.
Yeah, and Hardak's talking about how humans make mistakes, and he's talking about efficiency, and he wants to replace people because he can, his robots can do it better. But his whole scheme is ultra super flawed.
Yeah, it is.
And you could, again, I think the episode could make a statement with that in saying, see, look, these machines don't understand humans, so they can't replace them. But the problem is some of them do too good of a job.
Yeah, I mean, and this just goes back to...
Okay, hold on. What is Mayor Hill's first name? Does she have a first name? Do we know that?
I know I used to know this.
The reason I ask you that is because I wanted to bring this
Hamilton.
up.
Hamilton Hill.
Okay, he just signed that document M. Hill. Like, his first name is Mayor, like he's in the Powerpuff Girls. He's like M. Hill. What?
No,
your name is not...
That's hilarious.
You were not born Mayor Hill.
That's hilarious. But no, his name is Hamilton Hill. That's what it is.
He sounds like he should be a Green Lantern.
But no, what I was saying earlier is, and this just goes back to a problem with sci-fi robots that I think was periodically fixed, that this episode regresses really hard, which is, for a robot to have a mission where they want to replace humanity, they're already behaving as if they were human. So...
that's a good point, yeah.
Because to have any direction or guidance whatsoever is to be emotional. I mean, that's something TOS does really well with Spock.
You want something. Yeah.
Yeah, like Spock does that beautifully, where it's not that logic is the be-all, end-all. It's that logic is a means to an end based on an emotional state.
Well, that's the wonderful contradiction of Data, where Data is constantly talking about how he can't feel anything, but then he has this insatiable desire to become human. He's human already.
Exactly.
And he doesn't know it.
Exactly. And I mean, all the sci-fi that we got in the 70s and 80s particularly evolved that concept. We got stuff like Blade Runner and Terminator that addressed that contradiction. And then this episode just goes back to a really simplistic story and tries to throw in those bigger themes from better movies in. And that's partly why it bugs me so much, is that if it was just being cheesy 1940s, it's perfectly fine. But it doesn't know that.
And again, if it was mostly just like a silent thing, where we weren't talking so much about the ideas as just kind of presenting them on screen, then it would feel like more of an homage fest. And it really does, I think, as you said, kind of play like it thinks that it's deeper than it is.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a shame.
I'm not saying it's acting like it's brilliant or anything. I don't think the show thinks this is one of its best episodes.
No, but I mean, like, you get lines like, I gave you too much free will, and you just don't need that.
No.
And I mean, there's a couple of stuff like that.
I don't know. And I don't know what that means.
Exactly.
Like, because you give, usually what you get with self-aware machines. I like how Barbara Gordon helps Batman in the scene.
Oh yeah, it's cool.
And I like the bullet bot landing on the bat sim. Like, there's a lot of cool images.
Yeah, it's animated really well.
But, oh, and once again, that bot, he talks like Bullock.
Yeah, you couldn't tell that it wasn't Bullock.
Why can't the Gordon bot talk like Gordon? I just, even if the Gordon bot talked like Bullock, he'd be more believable than what we have.
And I love Barbara's reaction to it, too. She doesn't know yet.
And then that is straight up Terminator.
Yes.
Well, generic Terminator. But yeah, I like that sometimes she throws ninja stars that aren't shaped like bats.
Oh yeah, that's kind of cool.
But anyway, I'll go ahead and make the statement I've been trying to make for the last 2 minutes because I keep being distracted by things. Usually what you get is an artificial intelligence that was meant to be sophisticated, but obviously not self-aware, and it becomes self-aware. That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
And you could try to create one on purpose, I suppose, but I don't know what giving it too much free will means, because if you program a robot to have free will, it's still programmed, ergo it doesn't have free will in the first place. That almost has to be a thing that it obtains separate from you. It almost doesn't it have to become a more than the sum of its parts?
Yeah, I mean, in order for it to have free will, it has to behave in direct contradiction to what it's programmed to do. That's the only way that could possibly work, and it's not doing that.
Yeah, because that's the whole contradiction of the human condition is that human beings, or the way we think of it a lot is that there's a lot of different philosophies, and you'd argue with this, but that human beings have a nature, that we are animals first with a nature, and we have self-preservation instincts and all kinds of different instincts, but then we also have the intellect, the reason to go against that if we want to.
Yeah, exactly. It goes down to that David Hume idea of a moral sense as your natural sixth sense.
So how could you possibly intentionally program a robot to be human? Because we don't understand ourselves enough to do that.
Exactly. And again, I'm not to harp on Blade Runner, but what that movie does is it gives the robot so many possible scenarios and parameters for every eventuality that they might as well be human. Because at that point, there's no way they're going to use all that programming. So it has choices. And so at that point, the line between free will and determinism is arbitrary. And that's how you do it. That's how you give them free will, by making them a perfect determinist. But again, this episode doesn't do that, so the line doesn't have any logic behind it. I don't know what its programming is in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is it rebelling against, or what's the free will component of the programming?
I think, and I said this to you before we started recording, I think a lot of the point of this episode, and this is part of why it's also weird that it's a two-parter, because most of the big action is right here. It seems like a lot of this was just, let's make an episode where all of our bad guys are robots so that Batman can actually really violently rip things up.
Yeah, like he decapitated the thing with his ninja star earlier.
Yeah, like we can do that in this, and that's why, but... Also, there's precedent for that in the series already. I mean, why do you think we had Captain Clown?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You killed Captain Clown! That is maybe my single favorite Joker line in the entire series, by the way.
It's a really funny moment.
You killed Captain Clown!
Captain Clown needs to be added to the comics at some point. It's gotta happen.
Captain Clown, first of all, needs an action figure, and second of all, needs to be a thing that you can fight in one of the arcades.
You know what? We talked about this on Crisis. What figure do we want in the animated series line? It's Captain Clown!
And that's one they've not made, because there's no way I would have brought that up and you would have been like, wow, they made that one already.
Exactly.
I couldn't bring up anything that was super obscure that you would be like, nope, they did that one.
They made Roxy Rocket and everything, but no, Captain Clown. That's who you make.
Killed Captain Clown. I wouldn't be surprised if they made... You know what would be really funny? If you made a scale Hardak?
To go with the scale Batmobile.
Isn't Hardak really just Master Mold?
Yes. I guess. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Oh, and by the way, this finger pad thing, that would never work, because there's no way you can tell in what order those things were pressed.
I mean, it would narrow it down significantly, where you might be able to...
Yeah, but you'd still have to try like 4 or 5 different options.
Yeah, you'd have to try a lot of things. Well, more than that.
Yeah, a lot more than that. But right. Barbara just automatically assumes that they go in descending order. That's not necessarily.
There are a number of assumptions that are made there too, because also just because just because there are 4 buttons that were pressed doesn't mean that it's only necessarily a 4-key password.
Yeah.
You could have it could be a 6 or 8 or 10, and some of those you have to press more than once.
Yeah.
How would you know?
Yeah, exactly. How would you know? That's awful.
Also, and this is a total nitpick, but I also don't mind that you could spray that you would be able to see the fingerprints without changing the lighting.
Yeah, no, it'd be way too difficult. they got away with that a little too easily. But even though I like that Barbara's investigating, I think that's cool.
That's good. I mean, maybe infrared or something.
Yeah. Or I mean, even just get like a piece of paper and shade over it and see if you can figure out which one has the most dirt on it.
I just love that we've talked about that this long.
It's another cartoon detective thing where that doesn't actually work that way. It's like the whole you have to wait 24 hours to report a person missing thing. That's not how that works. If you think someone's missing, the police will go find them.
I also like just how much legwork they're doing to make me buy her being Batgirl later. I guess you alluded to that earlier, but the line about her knowing how to do some of this detective stuff because she's the daughter of a police commissioner, I buy that. And I kind of buy that she would maybe need less training right out the gate to be useful than Batman. It doesn't mean she'd be anything like as good at it, but just that she could go out and accomplish something. I buy that.
Yeah, and I mean she's not afraid either. The moment something happens, she jumps in. Like when Batman's being attacked by Bullock, she doesn't hesitate at all. She uses his grapnel and pulls him down. And even here, like she's not afraid. She's just trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. And I also like that she has that same gasp reaction that Batman does. Like whenever she's surprised by like it's like hurry up and put her in a bat mask. She's already Batgirl. she does wait, why does Hardak have bat ears? You notice that?
I did. That's kind of cool.
Hardak thinks it's Batman. It thinks it's a bat train. You know, Steve, where we're going, we don't need track. Because we're just going to sit right here and send out robots. I like, we talked over some of my favorite action in this. I like the robots moving around like bugs. It's super creepy. Just the way the heads go. And that seems like it's a callback to something too, and I can't think of what, but...
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that somewhere.
Isn't there something that kind of moves like that? Why can't I think of it?
I mean, it's homaging so many other things. Like, I can't remember off the top of my head, though.
It's just not immediately. I just feel like there's something that moves like that, but I don't know if it takes place before this or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I did really like that scene, though, just a second ago that we talked over, where Batman just throws 2 batarangs in the darkness at the robot's eyes. Like, that's a really cool shot.
Yeah.
And I guess we can continue talking about how Hardak's plan doesn't make a whole lot of sense when he's replacing city officials. Like, if his whole purpose is to just take over and to replace everyone, and they already act kind of human, then isn't he just going to end up making the same mistakes? Like, if he just programs everyone to be robots, but they act like themselves already, then what's the difference?
Well, do they act like themselves though? I mean, like,
well, Bullock
they
acts
pretend
like Bullock
to be human. Well, but like, they pretend in order to make a deception, but are they going to do the same things? Oh, there's creepy.
Oh yeah.
Gordon, Bug Gordon.
That's a really awkward shot, by the way.
Yeah. That's true. Just remember that's a robot.
Exactly.
And, you're not actually looking at what you think you're looking at.
And now it's Leapfrog.
And now he's and now he's Terminator Gordon with his glasses all off kilter like that. I love that, by the way.
Shot. No,
that's a cool shot.
No, but okay, but like Hardak's gonna replace.
I would buy that animation cell. I'm sorry, what?
No, I mean Hardak's gonna replace all the people so he can take over, but I just don't get like why and what the point of it all is.
I like that Hardak says stop the one called Batman. I'm like, don't you also mean the one called Bruce Wayne because you know his secret identity right now? And I don't know how this doctor, the scientist guy, gets through all this without ever knowing Bruce Wayne's secret identity. I guess Hardak just doesn't tell him.
Yeah. Is this Tiny Robot a reference to something? Because it looks really like Mel Brooksy.
Yeah, it kind of does. I mean, you could probably go back to a bunch of old sci-fi serials and movies and things and find all these robots.
Maybe so, yeah.
Or things that look a lot like them, you know? Like, I'm surprised not to see the Short Circuit robot anywhere in this.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That would have been really cool.
But anyway, as far as his plot goes, yeah, I see what you're saying, and I kind of don't know why he's gradually replacing people. Like why not just make robots, mass produce, and then just have them take over, all Terminator style?
Yeah, like,
I don't know.
Why doesn't he just start a war? Like, what's the point of infiltrating Gotham's infrastructure?
And again, we're kind of just mixing a lot of morals that you often get with artificial intelligence together with and not blending them real well and just kind of superficially mentioning things, right? Where it's like, you know, you have the you have the robot that doesn't really understand what being human is, but then you have the over reliance of technology thing. Yeah. And I mean, I like Hardak's line where he's like, the scientist was making these robots to replace people and he just didn't go far enough. It's like, well, it wasn't really to replace people, it was just to make things more convenient. And so your thought is, well, what if humans are just going to sit around and have us wait on them, why do we need them, you know? And so but again, we've seen this 1,000 times.
Yeah. And I mean, it's really easy to just go, like, have one thought too many about this episode because it brings up so many of those random themes. Like, we harp on the free will thing. Let's assume the episode gave us something, and let's assume Hardak has free will. Batman shouldn't kill him. Batman isn't allowed to kill him. That goes against his rule, because now he has free will. He's a sentient being.
That's actually an excellent point I wouldn't have thought of, but I think it would also be really easy to make the argument that he doesn't have free will at all.
That's true.
And that's just a stupid line that scientist has at the end that we don't want to ignore because it's there, but I don't think he knows what he's talking about necessarily. I just don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, then you have to say, well, he was artificially created. Well, human beings are artificially created from other human beings, kind of. Like, you can create free will in almost the same way. So what makes Hardak any different aside from being not biological?
Well, but you could also say that he's just going to the furthest possible place of the way he was programmed in the first place. So it's not that he has free will and that he really wants anything. It's just that he's doing what he was programmed to do, and there's not any fail-safes to keep him from going too far with it.
Yeah, but then Batman makes a whole lot of assumptions about the nature of free will as well. So see, like, there's a...
Oh, that's true, yeah. We're being more thoughtful about the episode than the episode is.
Exactly. It's what I say. It's the one thought too many about the episode itself.
But when I look at Hardak in that episode, it's really hard for me to see an artificial intelligence that really has free will.
Yes, even though he says it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it sure doesn't really feel like that.
Yeah. And again, just erase that line. Just make it simpler, and it's totally fine. Yeah. Yep. Less is more.
Which is why it should be 20 minutes. Anyway, well, there's Hardak. I enjoyed that a lot more watching it before this, because it had been a while since I'd seen it, and some of the action's really fun and stuff. Yeah. But then we started talking about it, and yeah, you're right. It's not great. But it was fun to talk about.
Oh, it totally was. And like you said, the action's great. The weird bug robot thing at the end, and some of the animation stuff, and the Gordon fight, that stuff is all cool.
Yeah. Well, we have that. We had that with a lot of early episodes too, right? Where it's like, the atmosphere is fun, or the atmosphere is great, and the action is fun, and the story is not really there.
Watch it on mute, and you're totally good.
Yeah, exactly. With the Shirley Walker score.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, everybody, thanks as always for watching. We sure appreciate it. We will see you again next time with one of my absolute all-time favorite episodes. I'm so excited. Next time, it's been a while since we've got like one of our favorite episodes. Yeah. So this will be fun. Next week, you're gonna hear us talk about If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? It's the first Riddler episode. It is, I think, the best Riddler episode. I don't think they ever trumped it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And it doesn't have a lot of competition, really. I mean,
what is reality is nowhere near as good as this.
It's got some really neat imagery in it, but it's showing its age a little too much.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like a lot of stuff about it, but yeah, this one's fantastic. So we'll talk about that for you next week. And in the meantime, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Steve Baxi.
Thanks for watching.